cyber dopamine here. In my left pocket is an iPhone that is always encouraging me to doom scroll social media. But in my right pocket is a device that actually pulls me away from doom scrolling and social media. It behaves like a phone since it's using smartphone hardware, but it plays like a Steam Deck, allowing you to enjoy hundreds of thousands of games from Steam locally on device. It certainly does not replace the Steam Deck or your gaming PC, but it fills in the gaps that we adults struggle with: time and bad habits. In the 2000s, we had the Game Boy Advance, PSP, Nintendo DS.
There's been huge hype over this handheld entertainment system.
The devices at the time were super portable. You throw them in your pocket and pull it out. But in 2007,
every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything.
the first iPhone was announced. And since then, smartphones clearly have dominated the handheld market. And I bring this up because in today's world, we've got the Nintendo Switch 2, right? The Steam Deck OLED, as well as other powerful devices that can run AAA titles seamlessly. But the problem is A, they cost a lot of money, and B, small handhelds have been replaced by attention-seeking smartphones. However, we're entering into a new era. So as you can see here, when I turn this thing on, you log into your Steam account. And as you see, I have all of the games that I would have on my Steam Deck or my gaming PC. My entire Steam library is here. And there isn't a catch either. We're not streaming. These games are running on the device itself. Because this device is so freaking small, dude, it goes in my pocket. And whenever there's dead time, right? The time that you would spend doom scrolling on Twitter or TikTok, you reach for the right pocket instead and you make progress on a challenging game that you are currently playing. It's a whole different thing, but I promise you it is so freaking cool. This is the Retroid Pocket Nova. But what is so impressive is this tiny little 4x3 AMOLED display. It's super tight, but you can still have a great time on this device. Like don't think for a second you won't get immersed in the game. Like you will enjoy your games that you do play on it. It clearly fits in any pocket and the battery lasts for a very long time. But this is where it stops making sense. Basically, on paper, it's an Android handheld built to run retro games, older games, right? It's an emulator. Valve, right, Steam, I've talked about this, they're funding FX. It's a transition layer, it converts x86, so PC games, to ARM, which is, you know, the smartphone processors that this device and your phone have, right? Normally you can't play PC games on there, but now you can. And so we're using an app called Game Native, it's free, to play games from Steam. And if you really want to like turn it into a Steam Deck like I do, you can run an OS called Armada OS, which literally turns it into a Steam Deck through and through. Also, you don't have to sub if you don't want to sub. If it's your vibe, you know, it's your vibe. Obviously, you know, it's such a small device. You're questioning like the performance. How does something like this really perform in the real world? Here's a look at Skyrim. We're anywhere from 40 to 60 frames per second. It's a casual Skyrim experience, that's for sure. But what I usually play on this device are pretty much the same games I play on my Steam Deck. Indie titles. You've got Dave the Diver. You obviously have Silksong. Valheim runs really well on this device. You're looking at around 70 frames per second, give or take. There's this cool ring game I'm playing I found on Steam. It's like Monkey Ball. Leaf It Alone, where you're picking up leaves and then you like upgrade your hands and you upgrade for like a lawnmower and stuff. Portal 2. On this game, dude, I was hitting well over 100 FPS at sometimes, but it mainly was at like, you know, 90, which is freaking awesome. Long story short, if you go on Steam and you look at like Steam Deck top games, you can run pretty much 8 out of 10 of those games that you see. You'll learn easily like what is the threshold and what isn't. The way I see it is like, obviously you're not gonna run heavy AAA titles, but you're also not going to run those titles on a $750 Steam Deck at this point. So you're mostly going to run $15 indie games anyways. Before I talk about form factor, drawbacks, and the price of this device, I want to give a shout out to Ugreen. So this thing's got a built-in retractable USB-C cable, a smart display, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth control, and somehow Ugreen packed all of that into one charger. This is the Ugreen Nexode Pro 160 watt charger, and that built-in cable can pull out to 8 different legs and up to 2 feet and 3 inches. So you can actually position your charger wherever you need it without another cable running across your desk. The display display is really useful too. It shows the power voltage, temperature, and charging protocol for each port. So you can see exactly what's happening. And through the Ugreen app, you can connect over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi and remotely change things like charging mode, power settings, screen brightness, and themes. And there's the actual power. You can get up to 140 watts from a single port or 160 watts total. And there are 4 ports, 3 USB-C and 1 USB-A. So you can charge a laptop, tablet, phone, and another device all at the same time. Ugreen also makes the Nexode Pro 300 watt desktop charger with 8 ports and 300 watts of total power. Check out the link in the description or bio. Thank you, Ugreen. Because it's so small, it's not invasive, right? It's not like it's a high commitment to pull it out and play on it. It's just as seamless as it would be with a smartphone, right? And because it's running on ARM, it behaves like a smartphone. You know, you have your perfectly functioning sleep mode. So impressive, where you can run the same game for maybe, I don't know, like a week's worth of time without ever quitting the game. You choose a game you want to work on and you progressively work on it over time. Like the behavior I have with this device is like this cool, it's like almost like a mini side project of trying to beat a small game. And I'm telling you right now, having SteamOS on a tiny little screen like this, and it works, it is the weirdest, trippiest feeling I've felt in such a long time. Like this is a genuine like, holy crap, this is crazy. The future is good type of feeling where I'm like, the fact that I can run some of my Steam games, not all of them, but some of them on this tiny device, it is so freaking cool. You have to like see it to really like comprehend how crazy that really is. Because this device is so freaking small, you need like, it has to cool, right? You know, like you can't expect to run heavier games without the fan spinning a little bit. And so sometimes you'll run a game that'll max out the fan speeds and you can choose how hot you want it to run, but that fan can get pretty freaking loud to where you don't even want to play the game because of that reason alone. However, you're able to underclock the Snapdragon chip inside of this device. So say, you know, like on Portal 2, I'm hitting 100 frames per second. I don't need all that. I can clock it down to like 40 or 60. And so my device, this Retroid Pocket, will stay super cool and stay super quiet while also giving you longer battery. So you can totally customize how much power you draw. I'll also mention that Game Native is now doing frame gen, which for devices like this is freaking essential to have, right? You got to set a couple things up, just a little bit, nothing crazy. And then, you know, you're always wondering what you could do, what you couldn't do, what you should play. You start looking for new games you wouldn't have played otherwise. It's a fun little rabbit hole that you can dive into that pulls you away from your freaking phone, dude. I think it's so cool. This thing costs $300, right? It's $150 less than a Nintendo Switch. But what's crazy is if you do the math on game to option ratio, so like the amount of games that you can play, the average price of the games that you're going to play on this Retroid Pocket, it exceeds what the Nintendo Switch has to offer, right? So it's a $300 device that plays Steamdeck games. It's cheap in terms of what you get out of what you pay for. And I know $300 is a lot in today's day and age in regards to hardware for something this small. The idea of it being that much is pretty gnarly. But if you look back at the PSP and the other handhelds, I mean, we're kind of in that same ballpark right now. We're just coming back with more of a library of games to play, you know? Also, you don't have to sub if you don't want to sub. If it's your vibe, you know, it's your vibe. And to be honest, dude, it just helps you freaking take the edge off, man. Like, if I'm being real here, you know, we go on TikTok a lot, or Instagram or YouTube. Twitter's kind of the worst. And you see stuff, dude. You see things like home prices are going up. You know, war's about to happen. You know, you get all these things, dude. And you see GTA 6 leaks, and then you see all this drama, and people are bad-mouthing certain things. And it's just like, it's tense, dude. It genuinely is tense. I don't think our brains are supposed to deal with this. They aren't, really. There's evidence to prove that, scientific studies. What I'm trying to bring up here is that this device right here can actually like encourage you, give you a reason not to doom scroll, right? Because obviously it's quite hard to just stare at a wall, you should be doing dishes or something productive, but who wants to do that? By having this in your other pocket, it makes the process of trying to get rid of your excessive doom scrolling so much easier and so much more fun, you know, because this device is very experimental, right? It's not like you can just buy it as if you were to buy a Switch or Steam Deck and just start gaming at your heart's content. But yeah, guys, I had to totally freaking, you know, show you this stuff, dude. I think it's so cool. It really is, man. And just wait till like new handhelds come out with better Snapdragon chips, better ARM chips. Imagine like the possibilities that we're getting. And you mix it with the fact that developers are pulling back on hardware recommendations. Like they need to optimize their games to get more sales because hardware is so expensive, you know, that less players would play their game, right? So you're getting the devs pulling back, and you're getting hardware working better and better on power draw and efficiency, right? So we're gonna meet in the middle very, very soon, where even like newer games will be able to comfortably run on these ARM-based devices. And I bet you we're gonna start seeing that in a year and a half, yeah. Guys, I'm stoked. All right, y'all. Gay cyber dopamine out.